right. Well, welcome everyone, huh? We're at the end of the Forrest Wood Cup for 2014. Got a lot of folks that are watching on our FLW live stream. Glad you're tuning in. About 15 minutes after we just crowned a champion. You guys, y'all can give a little round of applause for this guy, Anthony Gagliardi. Wow. All right, so we're waiting on Brent Ayler, but just so everyone knows what place everyone finished and the way they're seated, we got Anthony Gagliardi, who, of course, became our new Forrest Wood Cup champion, sitting right here in the middle. Scott Canterbury, 1 ounce behind Anthony Gagliardi right here in second. Brent Ayler will be here in just a bit in third place. Casey Ashley right here to Anthony's left in fourth place. And then, of course, Steve Kennedy right here in fifth place. So congratulations to you. We're going to open it up. Whatever you guys want to say, any questions, any pictures you have, feel free and go ahead.
You guys just start with Casey. Kind of run down your primary pattern, baits, and equipment.
Yeah, if you guys will all pick it up when the question's directed, they're all, you won't hear them in the room, but they're all live online.
My primary pattern was, I was running a shallow top water deal in the morning. I was throwing a pop-R for the most part. So I was swapped between a pop-R and a buzz bait. Just covering a lot of water. I was throwing the pop-R on a 15-pound high seas fluorocarbon on a 6.6 quantum smoke rod with a quantum exo reel. The buzz bait, I was throwing it on 17-pound line, high seas mono, and 7-foot medium heavy quantum rod, and a quantum exo reel. That's pretty well what I caught the majority of my fish on all week long.
I caught fish on a variety of different stuff this week. The first day I caught them completely different than I did the rest of the tournament. That's when I actually got on it was a shallow herring bite that I wasn't aware of until the tournament started, and it was something like you'd see go on here in April or May. They were back in the back of a long neck, and they were up on a shallow point, 2 to 3 foot of water. There was 2 points side by side, and I'd had a couple bites in practice, but ended up going in the tournament, and they were in there feeding just like they would early in the year. And I caught those fish on a Bass Trick swim bait, actually, with 16-pound gamma line, I think it was a 7.2, that new rain shadow rod from Batson Enterprises that we're working on. And yeah, I did that for 2 days, and that kind of died on me. And then I had another herring bite going on over the deep brush like we do here, and that really never materialized until today. I caught a couple key fish today doing that, and that's where I'm fishing a fluke on 10-pound gamma edge fluorocarbon, 7.2 rain shadow revelation rod. That's pretty much it, except for my two or three big fish that I caught the last couple days, not today, up the little Saluda River, just on 10-inch worm, just 10-inch Texas rig worm, fishing shallow brush, on flipping stick, 16-pound gamma fluorocarbon line.
Is that brush you had planted yourself?
Some of it, yeah. Some of it was.
Could you spell your wife's name for us, please?
Kristen, Kristin.
Could you talk about your morning, Anthony? I know you had an encounter with a local first spot.
Yeah. His nickname is Mr. Personality. He's got a reputation here on the lake, and I didn't know. I don't fish enough out there. I didn't know that's who it was at the time. I kind of maybe had an idea, but there was a little boat on the spot that I wanted to start on, and I went ahead and pulled in there. I mean, I wasn't going to not fish there. I mean, it was just a little 16-foot boat, and fish started coming up. I mean, they were schooling all over the place, and between me and him, on the other side of me and him, and you could tell that he was agitated. I mean, right off the bat, and so he started cussing at me a little bit when I first got there, and he wasn't mad that I was there, but he was upset that I brought the flotilla with me, and now everybody saw where his hole was. That's what it was all about. He said, "I can't believe you brought all these boats. Now they're going to see where I'm fishing." And I said, I'm in fishing this tournament. I don't know what you'd expect me to do. And he said, well, you need to go out and get a real job. That's what he told me. And so I kind of just took my hat off and rubbed my head a little bit because I didn't know what to say to that. I know. And we never argued. I never got mad. I never said anything abrasive or anything. And finally, he stayed about an hour. I mean, he was probably there a good hour, and I had to fish around him and threw him and over him. I threw over his line a couple of times when they'd break on the other side of his boat. I didn't care. He finally left on his own accord, and I caught him. Oh yeah, no, he rattled me. Yeah, he rattled the heck out of me. I was torn up this morning. I mean, every time those fish would come up on the other side of him, and I couldn't throw at him, or he'd throw at one that I was trying to throw at, and then it just I mean, I was a basket case this morning because of him.
500K, how you like them apples?
Yeah, right. Now, that's the second time on this lake that somebody's said that to me. I was fishing a team tournament years ago, and I was fishing for a bedding fish by this dock, and this lady come down there throwing at me, like just casting right at me. I was like, ma'am, I said, what's the problem? She said, well, I don't want you fishing in front of my house. I was like, well, this is what I do for a living. And she told me, well, you should have gone to school and got an education and done something with your life. And this is after I'd already graduated from college and I was doing this professionally. I said, oh, that's fine. And I left, and I called the game warden, actually, and he called her up and scared the daylights out of her because he told her they could cite her for, assault or aggravating the fisher, but whatever. But it was a pretty good story, and I never heard from her again. But
Did you leave that spot with keepers this morning?
yeah, I caught a limit there. I did catch a limit there, and I was really frustrated. I don't know if you'll see on the footage. I don't know what they'll show, but I had 4 and 5 pounders blowing up around me like I've not seen in a long time. And I couldn't get the bites. I mean, I know when I make a cast at a fish that's doing that, when I'm supposed to get a bite and when I probably won't. And I made umpteen casts today that it was a 99.9% chance that I'm going to catch him or he's going to bite me, and they didn't. And I don't know what the reason was. They were blowing up on herring. Some of them were feeding on shad, but some of them were knocking 4, 5, 6 inch herring out. And those are the ones that usually when you get something anywhere in their little area and they feel it, I mean, they'll turn, I mean, they're going to hit it. But somehow, some way, they were so keyed in on what they were eating that I couldn't trigger them. And I only caught 2 that I threw at while they were breaking, and the other 3 I caught there were just while I was fishing around when they were down. I'd just call one up and he would bite. And I did lose. I lost a couple there. Lost one big one that I thought was going to be troublesome. But and I was just I mean, it was just today in general. And I think I heard Casey say it up on stage, and I was the same way. I've never felt like I did today when I was running down the lake, helicopter beside me, running into the sunrise, and just the feeling that I had being here in this tournament, on this stage, but it being on my lake with the support that I knew I had, it was a super special feeling, and I've not ever felt that before in the tournament. No, but he told me he had a 6 pounder in his live well he caught before I got there. I caught my biggest one about 3 casts after that one. That helped. Yeah, I mean, I still think about it, but I did catch one right after that, and that helped calm me down. But anytime, I mean, if you ever see me when I'm around schooling fish, I don't care if everything goes right. I'm still going to be a nervous wreck when they're out busting around. I mean, that's my favorite way to catch them. I mean, that's my absolute favorite way to catch them is when they're chasing. And I love sitting there waiting on them to come up. And I didn't do that today. But normally I'll sit there with my rod in my hand, and I don't care if it's been 20 minutes and they hadn't come up. I won't cast because every time you do that and then they come up, you waste an opportunity. You're so much more apt to get a bite when those fish show themselves and they're up feeding in the yard, just casting around. And so I normally just sit there and just wait on them. And there's no better feeling to me when I see him come up and you throw out there and you're anticipating that bite and then he comes up and eats it. And I mean, that's just my favorite way to fish. No, I mean, it was not an area that I even practiced on. It's a spot that I've caught them schooling on years ago. But when I was running down past there each day, the first 2 days, on the second morning, well, it was mid-morning. It wasn't really morning, probably about noon. As I passed that point, I caught a glimpse out of the corner of my eye. I thought it was a fish, and I watched it as I rode by, and I didn't see anything else. I went on down and fished my other little hump deal, and never really thought anything about it after that. But yesterday, I went down and fished my hump, and I said, well, I'm going to go over there where I thought I saw that fish. And when I got there was a couple birds kind of just hovering around, and 1 or 2 came up as soon as I set the boat down, I caught 3 there yesterday, or maybe 4. I don't remember at this point. 3 or 4. I didn't catch any good ones, and I didn't see any good ones. But I had a feeling when I got there. I just had a feeling about what I saw that I had just caught the tail end of those fish, probably schooling. And so that's where I started this morning. I figured, heck, I mean, it was either that or I was going to start up the river on my shallow brush. It was one of the two things. And I figured that might give me a chance to catch a big bag. But then I got to thinking about it. If I did that, I might not catch much at all going up there. Then I would waste and lose any time that I might have down on the lower end where you could possibly catch some schoolers. So I decided to start there, and that was definitely the right decision. I mean, they were there. I mean, there was a ton of big fish there.
Anthony, you said earlier that this year was really important for your personal growth, a lot of way to DQ.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm super hard on myself when I don't perform and I don't do as well as I think that I should, and I'm easy. I'm just real easy to. I mean, not that I get negative, but I get down really easy, and it's hard for me to get out of that sometimes. And my wife is always trying to just encourage me and pull me out of those little slumps and things like that. And I this year after the DQ, obviously I was low, but then after the first tournament at Hartwell, I stayed positive all year. Even on the days when it looked like it was going to end, my run to make it, I'd catch a big one at the end of the day, and then I'd still have a shot going in the next tournament. I mean, that happened at a couple tournaments. Kentucky Lake, the first day, I didn't have but 12 pounds. I mean, I was out. I mean, I knew I was not going to make the championship with that, and in the last 10 minutes, I caught 2 4.5-pounders, and it just kept me alive, kept me in it for another day. And so there was just so many cases like that throughout the year that I think I can learn from and definitely use going forward. Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, just to win the period, no matter where it is. I mean, heck, it's the most prestigious thing in our sport. I mean, it's just the best thing that I could possibly win in what I do. But I mean, to do it here, it's just so much more special. I mean, because just out there, you guys saw all the people coming up, and they genuinely wanted me to do well. I mean, and they really did. I mean, there was a lot of people that were really pulling for me, and that means a lot. I mean, it means a lot to them to see somebody local, and so I'm just proud. I'm proud to represent the community. I mean, I would have represented the community whether I won or not, but I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them that they had somebody to pull for, and they were able to see him come through with the win.
Scott, can you talk about your feelings at this point?
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel good. I fished good this week. I fished on instincts after day one. Day one sort of shot it, but I only weighed in 4 fish and tried to force things to happen instead of just going fishing. And the second day I didn't have a fish at like 10 o'clock or 9:30, and I just went fishing, scrapped everything and went fishing, and I figured out a little deal, and I ran with it the rest of the week, and it worked out for me. And I fished pretty clean until today, and today I had a couple of missed opportunities, but I did all I could do. I fished really good, fished on my gut and fished instincts, and finished second. I beat everybody but Anthony. Anthony, he deserves it. He really showed out this week and did well here, and I'm proud to finish second for the second time.
What you were doing and then what you went to
in the cup. Do what now?
Can you elaborate on what you had been doing and then what you eventually got them on the last couple days?
Yeah, I was on the exact same deal that Anthony's talking about, that shallow herring deal down the lake, and I went down there the second day of practice and ran some of those real shallow bars, and it was cloudy, and I put in at daylight down there, and I got several bites. And I seen him, Anthony, on some places, and he's seen me on some places the first 2 days, and I only weighed in 1 4-pounder from down there, but it was it was a 4-pound fish. And that deal, I just didn't know enough of it, and I had 5 or 6 places I'd run around and hit, and ended up going up the river that first day. I had one creek up the river that I got some bites in, and I caught a couple flipping up there. And it was one of those deals that, I love fishing shallow cover. I love power fishing. I got up there and I was flipping a 1/2-ounce jig. I was in a late flight the first day, and I went up there with 2 o'clock or 2:30 with 2 fish in a live well, and ended up catching 2 pretty good ones in a creek upriver. And, I mean, I set the hook on one, and my line breaks in the reel, and I catch it before it gets to the guides and the hand line of fish in. It's just, I mean, I fished really good up until, I had a couple missed opportunities today. And then I fished shallow. I mean, yesterday I didn't have or the second day I didn't have a fish, and I ran around at 10 o'clock, and I found a little pattern in running shade lines with grass and wood mixed. And the grass needed rock around it. It didn't, a lot of the grass here has some kind of grass growing below it, and I never got bit in it. But if I could find grass that come out and it had 2 or 3 feet of water in front of it, and it had gravel or rock or a clean bottom, I mean, I could pretty much call my shots. That second day I caught them pretty good. And the third day I really caught them. I did that same thing, and it was cloudy, and I really caught them. Today it didn't work, and the shade didn't work, but I figured them out about lunch by running sun and shallow wood and caught them. I mean, I had a chance to have a really big bag today and just didn't capitalize. But I still feel good about the way I finished.
What baits were you using this week?
Down the lake, I was throwing a fluke and a vixen, top water bait, and a jackal mudsucker, one of the schooling fish. And then up the lake, I was fishing, I used a Dirty Jigs half-ounce jig, flipping, used a variety of different buzz baits, putting a frog on just about every one of them. I did throw a black one with a skirt on it this second and third day some, and caught a few fish. But the key fish came yesterday. I caught a 5-pounder on a buzz bait. It was a prototype buzz bait with a frog on it, and then I caught key fish every day on that half-ounce jig from Dirty Jigs Tackle, flipping with 20-pound line. Do I now? All halo. I use all halo rods and use some halo reels and just a variety. I mean, I was throwing, 7.3 mediums on top water, a 7-foot medium with a top water bait, 7.3 medium heavy with the flukes, and my buzz bait 7.3 medium heavy, and then 7.6 heavies for flipping.
When you say sun and shallow wood, what were you using in that situation?
I caught most of them on, a buzz bait, almost probably 85% of them. I did catch a couple of fish on a jig, and I did catch a couple of fish on a swim jig during the tournament, and it was just a Dirty Jig swim jig, 3/8 ounce with a Evil Twin Bruiser trailer on the back of it.
Steve, you were able to catch the largest limit of the entire tournament today. Things kind of came together for you. Can you talk about what you were doing and baits you were using to get it done?
Coming into this tournament, we were coming from Philadelphia. Only got a day and a half of practice. The first day I ran around down on the lower end. I found a bunch of stripers down there, but, not what I was looking for. The second day of practice, I ran up the river, and the river was really high from the rains last week. The river was muddy. The pockets were kind of clear. And I actually saw 5-pound class bass gulping mayflies, which is something I've never seen before. But, we have that off day now in practice, and coming back up there the first day of the tournament, the water had dropped maybe a foot there. On up the river, it dropped 4 or 5 feet kind of deal. So, there were a bunch of us up there. Wesley Strayer was up there. Randall Tharp was up there, and they didn't catch them very well. I scrapped out a limit that weighed 9-something, but never saw those big fish for 2 days. And then yesterday it started stabilizing just a little bit. I got 2 big bites. I lost both of them, and I kind of knew where they were setting up, and they were getting positioned where I could read it a little bit better. So today I went up there looking just for those big bites. I knew I needed 20 pounds plus to have a shot at this thing, and I made it happen. That's all I can say. I caught them all on a horny toad, and every one I weighed in, and skipping it on 50-pound braid back under shade. That's the deal. And just got 5 key bites and put them all in the boat, which I just big-eyed them a little bit. I still hadn't gotten over that.
Steve and Casey, you guys, and then you had another third two-tour guy that qualified for the top 10 today that have run that gauntlet of all those events. Does the exhaustion that you guys have had to fish under, has it helped you guys just stay on your instincts and stay fishing, and does that help you in this event?
it's the way I fish. I do better fishing on a day and a half of practice than I do on 3 days. I can't explain how that works, but it just, over the years, it's starting to appear that my better tournaments are on just a day and a half of practice. And I guess it's instinct. I don't know. I can't put my finger exactly on what it is, but it seems like fish you find 3-4 days ahead of time are not there when you get there on tournament day. And if practice was really good, it's even harder to get away from what you were doing. So yeah, short practice, just figure out how to catch something. That's all I was doing. And like I said, the guys that spent a lot of time up there in practice did not end up catching them, did not make the cuts, and somehow I did. I don't know what they do that I did different, but yes, I do better that way. Don't know why.
I take all the practice I can get. I don't know about Kenny. Kennedy won a Elite Series tournament. He goes out the first morning to practice and practices for an hour and a half, and he goes and puts his stuff back on the trailer and never goes back on the lake till tournament day and wins it. Just blows it out. But I can't do that. I need 2 weeks to practice if I can get it. But yeah, it seems like I finish. I fish a lot better when I'm tired. Just beat down. I don't know what it is.
And we are tired. Right?
I guess it's your mind. You can't just race around. You get set in your mind of what you want to do and how you're going to fish this tournament, and that's what you stick with. And then as you let everything develop, you're not trying to make something happen. I think that's pretty well what it is.
That's a big part of it. That's right. Let's hurry this up. Let's go. I got to load up. Kidding.
Were one of the more consistent anglers over the first 3 days of the tournament. Can you talk about what you were doing to get that done and what you think happened today?
I didn't have that great of a practice. My game plan was to fish some of the schooling fish in the morning, and then run a mix of just shallow top water and deeper brush piles with a drop shot. And each morning I was able to catch several on a Yamamoto D-shad on the schoolers. And what I would do is run some of the brush piles to finish out my limit. But as soon as I got my limit, I wouldn't fish anymore because I just don't think there's a lot of fish living down there. And so I'd mix it up and run the bank and throw top water and do other things. And that's basically what I did. I didn't know if I was going to catch them or not. Each day it just kind of developed as the day went on. And the best day was day 3 when it was overcast that morning. They were biting really good. You could run around and catch them pretty easily. And today was different. I know Anthony said something about how he got right on the fish and they wouldn't bite. And they were doing that today where I was at too. I saw some 2.5, 3.5 pounders that were coming up, and I'd land the bait right on top of them and they wouldn't bite. And every other day, if you got within 5 feet of them, 10 feet of them, they'd bite it. And today they didn't. And I'm not sure why, but that was kind of the key for me for doing well, was getting about 3 of those bites first thing in the morning, and then I could run the rest of the day to finish out a limit. The double rig's just a standard. Yeah, the swivel, and then one swivel was up the line, free floating on the line, on the main line, and then a bigger swivel, and then I had just 2 liters off of that. I didn't even throw that until the 3rd day, and my first bite was a double, and so I threw that today as well.
What pound line were you throwing on your?
I was throwing 14-pound Sunline, FC Sniper, and that was just for me, I don't like going lighter. That just seems like you break off. And I did have 2 that broke off, but what happens sometimes, your hook will, I was using a Gamakatsu EWG. Sometimes it would push through the bait and it would double back on the line, and then the barb will nick the line. And you don't know that, and you hook one and he breaks off. So that kind of happened. I think it happened twice in the tournament, but just not retying. You're in a hurry and you're trying to get them, and you're retying and they come up, busting somewhere, and you're just watching it happen. You can't cast to them, so sometimes you kind of push it without retying.
What made you go to that rig?
I just, for some reason, I just want to try something different on day 3, and I had both on the deck. I felt like I could cast the single one farther, but when I started casting on the 3rd day, I could actually cast it farther with a double just because it was heavier. I just thought it'd be kind of cumbersome, but it actually worked out better, and I could cast it farther. And I just felt like, it's like a umbrella rig. They see more baits up there. I think they get more excited about it. But it didn't work today.
Other than the D-shad, any other baits?
Lucky Craft Gunfish 115. I caught several key fish on that. Sometimes I couldn't reach them with the D-shad, and so I had to use that gunfish to cast farther to get to them. And then drop shot, I caught them on just a standard drop shot with roboworm, 6-inch roboworm on it, a Gamakatsu rebarb hook on it, and then a 1/4 ounce Rains tungsten sinker. I used for the drop shot setup. I had a Daiwa. It's a brand new Steez spinning rod that they have that has the AGS guides, which is a carbon fiber guide. It's a brand new thing that they came out with, and all the guides on the rod are the whole set of guides is actually lighter than one titanium guide on another rod. So it's real light, real sensitive rod. So I ran that with a Steez reel, 12-pound Sunline SX braided line with an 8-pound Sunline FC Sniper fluorocarbon leader on it. And then for the D-shad, I ran a 7.2 medium heavy Tatula Daiwa rod with a Tatula Type R Daiwa reel, and then I ran that 14-pound Sniper. And then for my top water, I ran the same rod, same reel, but then I used 30-pound Sunline FX braided line with a 16 or a 20-pound Supernatural leader on it, but this by Sunline as well.
Brent, on day 3, you said you had some water saved for today. Was that brush or something else?
It was brush. I saved as soon as I'd get my limit. I wouldn't go to areas, and I just didn't want to catch them because I knew there weren't many down there. But you could catch them when you got there, and I just saved a few of those spots today, and I fished them, and I caught a few off of them. But I only had 5 bites all day. I had 6 bites all day, and that I actually hooked, and I was only able to land 5. And the brush piles weren't as good as I thought. I really thought that I could run up and catch a few on some of them, and they didn't pan out. But by the end of the day, I ended up catching 5.
All right, I think that'll wrap it up. So thank you very much to all of the media corps for attending. Thank you very much to our top 5 anglers here, and congratulations to the 19th Forrest Wood Cup champion, Anthony Gagliardi. Thanks, guys.